Let's take a look at some initial work that we've done regarding how we're going to add Android support to Fleet. So let's look at a few API endpoints that are experimental. So first we need to kind of set up Android MDM. So if we call this endpoint, we're going to get a URL where we can go and set up our Android MDM. We'd have to create an admin account and go through all this flow. And I believe for premium customers, we may be doing that for them, but free customers may need to do this themselves. Then after the enterprise is set up, we need to add a policy. We need to have at least one policy that we can associate to an enrolled device. So here, in our case, we just put together a default policy that's largely hard-coded. But here's an example of kind of what you can have in a policy. So a policy is just a big JSON file where you can have different things, time lock, disabling, enabling certain things, a whole bunch of settings, and I expect this list is going to keep expanding. So next, let's actually enroll a device. So we can get an enrollment token, which an enrollment token could be like a permanent token that multiple devices can be used, or it can be a one-time token. It can also expire. So let's go ahead and grab a token. So we have a token here, and let's see if we can enroll our device. So there's multiple ways to enroll a device. You can have a QR code the device reads, you can go to a website, or you can use an app. So in our case, on our device, we're gonna go ahead and go to a website. So it is enterprisegoogle.com, Android enroll, and then, this ET stands for enrollment token. So we'll just grab this one from here. Okay. Let's go ahead and go through this flow. And the policy that we created, it contains some settings to make sure we're gathering a lot of telemetry from the device. In addition, it disables the camera. So in here, this device is going to have a work profile and a normal profile. So I believe at this point it is applying the policy. Okay, and it is done. So let's go back home. And then if we swipe down, I think swipe up. Yeah, swipe up. We've got a work profile and a personal profile. So I mentioned we are disabling the camera. So if we try to use the camera here, it'll say the security policy prevents use of camera. So that's one use case for Android, is applying the policies to make sure a device behaves in a certain way. Another major use case is that now the work apps are separate from the personal apps on this device, right? So our users will want to install enterprise apps in their work profile. So let's take a look at how device looks in Fleet. I do need to refetch this data from Google. Normally how we're gonna do it is we're gonna subscribe to a pub sub feed, and so once a device is enrolled, Fleet will immediately know it. But in this initial POC, I basically have a job that I trigger that fetches all the device info. So I'll pause to trigger that job. Okay, let's go jump into Fleet, and we can see our device is in an OT. It was just fetched. We can see it's Android operating system. A few things that we don't have, like we don't have the IPs. Also, it's a BYOD device, so the serial number is not a real serial number. It's what they call an enterprise identifier. So we may want to change how we're displaying the device. This is the bundle number. We know the manufacturer, Samsung in this case, so we could add the Samsung identifier here. But let's take a look at all the data that we're getting from the Android device. Some device settings. This is the hardware information we're getting. We know it's Samsung, QCOM. We have the model number. This is the enterprise specific ID that I just mentioned. We are getting some timestamps. We know the enrollment time, when we last synced to the policy, when this status report was generated. We know the RAM and the disk information here. We know it's a personally owned device. We have some identifying information here. We know the software info, which Android build, the kernel version, things like that. We can also expand these memory events and just look some additional info about the memory when external storage was detected or RAM was measured. We also have information on the software. So if we go up here, this is actually the biggest chunk of information about the apps. So we have display name, package name, version code, version name. A lot of these are not user-facing. This one is user-facing, My Files. So we could easily pull all this information into Fleet. And that's it for now.